Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. Thanks for being with us this afternoon. It's an incredible pleasure to welcome Donald Revell and to celebrate his most recent poetry collection, Canandaigua, recently published with Alice James Books. So thanks for being here, Donald. Thanks to all of you and everyone watching online. I also want to say thanks to everyone at Alice James for helping make this possible, and in particular Lacey Dunham, who was instrumental in coordinating things on their end. So that was a pleasure. We have copies of Canandaigua as well as many other titles by Donald Revell in the bookstore. So visit us there after the reading. And then I think the only other thing I'm going to mention is I'm going to tell you about some things that are happening, and then we can get right into the poetry. But those things are this Friday, May 2nd, we have the pleasure of hosting Sam Wright Fairbanks, Rena Meadow, CJ Scruton, and Leon Prideaux, celebrating some new poetry publications. So that's 7 p.m. on Friday for that reading, which will be fantastic. Please join us. Saturday, May 10th at 2 p.m. we'll be not here. We'll be at Centennial Hall at the Milwaukee Central Library downtown for the 2025 Milwaukee Youth Poet Laureate Finals. This event is where the next Youth Laureate, the third thus far, will be chosen, and it's really just a pretty wonderful showcase of the immense talent of younger poets in this city, so I hope you'll join us. That is, again, Centennial Hall at the library downtown at 2 p.m., Saturday, May 10th. And then the last thing I will mention, and then you can sort of find a newsletter or visit us online and see all of the other things, but Saturday, May 17th at 7 p.m., we're going to host an event as part of our Small Press Appreciation Series, where we have a spotlight on a particular small press. In this case, it'll be the Song Cave. Absolutely tremendous press, so would highly recommend, if you don't know their books, checking them out, and of course joining us for that on the 17th. That will feature reading and conversation with Song Cave authors Hannah Brooks Modell and David Sung, and hosted and moderated by Song Cave editor Ellen Felsenthal. So that'll be 7 p.m. Saturday, the 17th. Okay. All right. So, you have your May blocked out, which is good. Thanks. Okay. Okay, that's that. Now it's my great pleasure to welcome Donald Revell. And then it'll be your great pleasure for me to stop talking. So, Donald Revell is the author of 15 collections of poetry, including Canandaigua, The English Boat, and Drought-Adapted Vine, all from Alice James Books. Revell has also published 6 volumes of translations from the French, including Apollinaire's Alcools, Rimbaud's A Season in Hell, Laforgue's Last Verses, and Verlaine's Songs Without Words. His critical writings have been collected as Essay, a Critical Memoir, The Art of Attention, and Invisible Green, Selected Prose. He is currently a professor of English at UNLV and faculty affiliate of the Black Mountain Institute. At one point in Canandaigua, Donald Revell writes, quote, "Poetry is the groundless belief in fearful attention." And there is such close attention in Canandaigua as elsewhere in Revell's poems to the immediate environments within the poems, to, quote, clouds bellied like golden sheep in afternoons, but also in attending to language's capacity to transcend time and space, an attenuation of that fiction of linear time and experience, a poetics that threads disparate moments in a single poetic present. For the present, as Revell has noted in an interview, is all there is. He goes on, quote, "The present is where the past happens. It's also where the future happens. And if this trans-temporal attention is fearful, perhaps it's for what one might see in this world of climate collapse, this nation of, quote, broken fence lines and broken flowers hung on the wire. Or maybe a sense of dread for attention's loss to, quote, progress, that antithesis of change. A flagging of that more substantive human transformation in the face of a cultural stasis, a succumbing to economies of attention that prize immediacy and enact destruction of the natural world. What Revell offers in exchange, however, might be taken as a groundless belief. So what is faith? Geoffrey Hill is quoted as asking in Canandaigua, if not inescapable endurance. Revell's poems endure with a countervailing faith in a better world. As Dan Beachy Quick tells us, they set eyes on, quote, a kind of paradise from a poet who hasn't given up on paradise. Revell asks us to, quote, wind the clocks backwards until they break, invites us to seek, quote, a cognate of gleaming distances beyond all grammars, and leads us to other worlds and their low, radiant doorways. It seems imperative now and always that we accept the invitation and cross these thresholds with him. So how lucky we are to do so this afternoon.
It's a pretty day out, and you all came anyway. I'm very grateful, very grateful. This is called Vietnam Epic Treatment. It doesn't matter a damn what's playing in the dead of winter, you go. Days of 1978, 79, and we went because the soldiers were beautiful and doomed as Asian jungles kept afire, Christ-like, in the hopeless war I did not go to in the end because it ended. The 20th century? It was a war between peasants on the one side, hallucinations on the other. A peasant is a fire that burns but is not consumed. His movie never ends. It will be beautiful every winter of our lives, my love, as Christ crushes fire into his wounds, and the wounds are a jungle. Equally, no matter when their movies end, hallucinations destroy the destroyers. That's all. There has never been a president of the United States. And the 21st century? Hallucination versus hallucination. In cold battle, in dubious battle, no battle at all, because the peasants have gone away far into the lost traveler's dream, into a passage from Homer, a woodcutter's hillside peacetime superstition movie. On a cold night, Hector. On a cold night, Achilles. Around the savage and the maniac, the woodcutter draws a ring of fire. It burns all winter long. He never tires of it, and for good reason. Every face of the flames is doomed and beautiful. Every spark that shoots out into the freezing air is God's truth given to us all over again in the bitter weather of men's hallucinations. There has never been a president of the United States. There has never been a just war. There has never been any life beyond this circle of firelight until now, if now is no dream, but an Asia. For some perverse reason, I thought that would be good news. So please accept it as the perverse version of the good news. Okay, let's do something more cheerful now. Death. Death calls my dog by the wrong name. A little man when I was small, Death grew beside me, always taller, but always confused, as I have almost never been. Confusion, like the heart, gets left behind early by a boy. Abandoned the very moment futurity with her bare arms comes a waltzing down the fire escapes to take his hand. Death, I said, if your eyes were green, I would eat them. For what are days but the furnace of an eye? If I could strip a sunflower bare to its bare soul, I would rebuild it. Green instead of green, ringed round by green, there'd be nothing but new flowers anymore. Absolute Christmas. Death, I said. I know someone, a woman, who sank her teeth into the moon. For what are space and time but the inventions of sorrowing men? The soul goes faster than light. Eating the moon alive, it leaves space and time behind. The soul is forgiveness because it knows forgiveness, and the knowledge is whirligig. Whirligig taught me to live outwardly. Shoe shop, pizza parlor, surgical appliances, all left behind me with the hooey. My soul is my home, an old star hounded by old starlight. Death, I ask you, whose only story is the end of the story, right from the start, how is it I remember everything that never happened and almost nothing that did? Was I ever born? I think of the suicides, all of them thriving, many of them painting beautiful pictures. I think of boys and girls murdered in their first beauty, now with children of their own. And I have a church in my mind, set cruelly ablaze, and then the explosion of happy souls into the greeny, frozen Christmas Eve air. Another good Christmas, a white choir. Beside each other still, my death and I are a magical hermit. Dear mother, I miss you. Dear reader, your eyes are now green, green as they used to be before I was born. This is called Against Creation. That sounds darker than it is. I'm willing to tolerate the possibility of the existence of the universe. I just haven't gotten enough evidence yet to think that anything is real. Sovereign of my heart, your temple is deep in the dead branches, moving only when the wind delves so far. Eden is a go. I mean, all's terror now. Sovereign of my heart, I am shouting at nightfall. Bats above me, hummingbirds skittish below the bats, almost like dragonflies. I am shouting into debris, immodest happiness in Eden's humility. A go, a go. Adam's fall invented the future. He tied the bat's wings onto dragonflies. Nature, even as it dies, abhors imagination. What men call extinction, I call home. This is a long one, but I think it's pleasant. And my dear, long-suffering, long-standing friend Lisa asked for it, so you have only her to blame. It's called Long-Legged Bird. I have a sweet house, halfway to the top of fires no one knows. A moth knows. Fire is a door, a sudden portal. He flies in, and what remains behind to burn is not moth, merely discernment. Ophelia said as much to Hamlet, who never knew. Death is an element like water and like fire, and there are many of them, all doors. Drowning, we are done with wisdom, which is carried out to sea. Burning, we leave old minds, gone up in smoke. In a sweet house, halfway to extinction, the air, let me try to explain. The air is made of souls of women and men, all dancing. There's nothing to see. Acumen and discernment, as much as wisdom and wax wings, are no help. You must breathe the dead to feel the dancing. Despair is the baseline, earth and straw. Everything else, when you breathe it, is ecstasy. I want to explain. Tremolos and squealings, and then a high sound sweeten the little halfway house forever. I mean, it just goes on forever, as though the little portals children pour. I keep a fiddle in my bones. At night sometimes, the vibration of deep strings becomes a trembling. I wake up, frightened at first, seeing the shiny cadres of my dreams dispersed into dark corners and thin air. Then, gradually, fear subsides. I am only the music that I am, and always it leaves me. Ordinary ecstasy, awaking from silly dooms of inwardness. Watch a butterfly alighted on an iris. When it flies away, it bursts the flower, projecting its colors and infant textures upward and out until the horizon itself is one pure flower flying home. Loving the fire, moth feels nothing to forgive. Lifted out of the water by 1,000 strengths of flowers, Ophelia lives. Forgiveness is a watercourse and conflagration all around the world, a great adventure. When I walk on ground, I walk on my bones, making music, or rather, feeling the music making me. Out of thin air into pure air, horizon calls me. I am attending to 10 accidents. I am searching through the colors. I am going home to Colorado with bombs. I am bringing a plum tree and a cherry tree for a new town, and when the avalanche has come and gone, I will put them in the ground. I expect there to be dancing. I expect there to be forgiveness on the epic scale. I have wasted the effort of all flowers because I expect there to be forgiveness on the epic scale. I keep a little man inside my bones. His fiddling makes my Chinese daughter smile. When did our sweet Jesus become the purview and bad pretext of jailers? How did loving kindness come to devastate the world with wars? Overhead, a long-legged bird circles my sweet house. I feel he is waiting for me to join him, to find real wings and rise out of my own mind into his air. What would I find there? Portals and invisible heavy traffic. My mother as a baby. My father a cowboy. My sister, finally, after so much heartbreak, a girl. The body travels inside the soul. The body's a passenger. This has nothing to do with Jesus, though he is right here beside me. He is unhurt. Overhead, the long-legged bird departs at last. I'm staying. My soul was kind enough to put me here, halfway to extinction with good wine and a fine little house, so here I stay. Bones of mine play no mournful melodies. There is no harm in all the world, little man. There is only happiness on a lofty slope where it still snows. I am breathing with my dead. I feel them dancing. Okay, I'm from the Bronx, which in the 1960s was known as a national disgrace. So it feels good to have grown up in a national disgrace. Every 4 years, presidential candidates would point at my birthplace and say, "This must never happen again." And you take it personally after a while. I feel somehow insulted by both parties. And then there was this son of a bitch called Moses, Robert Moses. We were okay. I could visit my favorite cousins just by walking to their apartment. But then he came with his highway, so that the people from the wealthy suburbs of Westchester could get back and forth to Wall Street without inconvenience. But suddenly, what was a 10-minute walk to my favorite cousin's house was 3 bus rides in 2 hours. So the convenience of the stockbrokers became the dissolution of my family. And it's hard not to take that kind of thing personally. I know it's stupid. I mean, I don't think Robert Moses had me in mind. Let's get that Revell kid. But that's how it felt. And so this is about that, kind of. And it's in memory of my wonderful cousin that I loved to distraction, Diane. The only other thing you need to know, you may not remember it, I know you're busy, the Latin motto of the Bronx probably escapes, it even escaped him. Ne sede malice, don't give in to evil, which is, sometimes evil is named Moses. It's confusing. Okay, so this is this. I don't think there's anything else to worry about. Walt Disney you know about. Yeah, okay, we're good. Just now it was the malice of a cup, this brown cup. What did Haussmann give to Paris or Robert Moses to New York? A cup. Very much like this one and the malice of it. Emptiness ready to hand and ready to forbid a boy his beloved cousin in traffic. The idiocy of human greed. We feel the change, shun the little things and hurry. That ivy, this wren, reign as it may, because strangeness is speed, I am with them. As sun suffers shade, I am with them. This isn't going away. This mean-spirited, progressive tumult, kettle to cup, pale cousin to interstate commerce, carting a flag as though it were a babe in arms. No babies for my cousin, no aftermath to the hand in hand of kinship, kinship simple, kinship slow. Our common prayer had nowhere to go. Ne sede malice. And in the language of those one cannot hope to emulate. Virgil coined a perfect motto for the Bronx, and Robert Moses put it to the test. We couldn't walk a step in any direction. The gates of the underworld were opened wide always, and yet we couldn't walk. My fatal cousin and I were rhyming communards. To feel the change, choose a book, and tear its pages into the wind. Loose words, brief altitudes, these are the progress made in the name of progress. O seasons, O chateau of vowels. Ivy grows backwards into the wren's hot nest. Rain slows to a whisper of white metal. Suffering shade, the sun dives underground, buckling the interstates. Did you know a city can thrive in complete ignorance of other cities? Plantations of thin air feed millions. I am eating my words. My cousin and I were rhyming communards. Disney and the metaphysicals. Men equally impossible to emulate as our theaters fill with emptiness, as our poems go lame into the lean dearth of their English. Progress, the antithesis of change, is surely the muse of malice. Slow change, antique nursery of music, joy, and eternity happens in little streets among the cartoon animals and fire escapes. Progress, on the other hand, is exactly what John Berryman imagined it to be. A cancer with a plan. New York's ruined anatomies. Rimbaud's gang rape are only comprehensible as whispering, hastening, white-hot metal. My cousin's barrenness and the full flesh of her beauty only accounts to God as God in his own beauty, changes all. I am a fit of rhyme against rhyme, a commune of no one but the wren. Wretched Diane and I were beasts in all but integrity, not one but freely given. Must one think of everything as earned? Do birds divorce? Across the street, no distance at all, a naked, thinking heart walks into traffic. There was nowhere else to go. Does laughter brutalize? Ask the rebar in a busted wall, or better still, ask Buster Keaton. He, better than any, knew the malice of inanimate things, inspired suddenly with strangeness, avalanche without a mountain, traffic deaths on a blank screen or an empty street. He knew that progress is a maniac. I feel the changeable moon divorcing earth. It has no face to show us just now, only a pallor of vowels. Swan's down soiled with earth. There are velocities like cities swallowing air out of thin air and dying of it. This isn't going away. Cup in hand, a forbidden boy goes begging across the exit ramps. Worlds away, his cousin, clothed in ivy and feathers, carries her child into a ruined chateau. The evening air is underscored with magic. God is calling the moonlight back to heaven. I'm sorry, I'm still pissed at Robert Moses. I know that's silly, but what did the Bronx ever do to him? This is a poem in memory of a poet I really loved, a lady named Jean Valentine. Oh, yeah. I don't know if you know her work. I hope you do. She was extraordinarily good news. And something happened not long ago that made me happy. At night when I go to bed, I grab some book of poetry that's not going to drive me crazy to read before I go to sleep, so I forget the news and the world. And I grabbed one of Jean's books this night, and I went to bed and I opened it, and I was reading for 3 or 4 minutes, and suddenly I felt the room starting to fill with a presence. It was not a ghost, it was not a specter. The only word I could find for it was goodness. That somehow the goodness of this woman was a palpable person in the room. And it lasted for like 10, 12 minutes. It was wonderful. It was really like goodness was real, and it could be in the room with you. And so I wrote this as a kind of thank you. And if you ever thought about who would I want to watch baseball in my pajamas with while eating popcorn, the correct answer is Jean Valentine. You can't do better than popcorn, Jean Valentine, and baseball. A 3/4 moon is quick this New Year's morning. Almost transparent at the tip of those mountains, there are no bears. The kitchen window, propped open by an old dictionary, blue Larousse, eases cold air and a few last flecks of starlight inside. Last night we played at tall puppets and perfected a most imperfect year with your death's gaiety. Pencils and bears. You were the life of the party. Under the night's final lamp, I found a stranger's writing in your books, a scatter of emphases, a few translations, and more than once the one word Emmanuel underscored. It was all in soft pencil, easy to erase if I wanted to. I didn't. In the red hymnal given to me in 1961 for good conduct, the word Emmanuel is likewise underscored, page 2, the second hymn for Advent. Clearly the stranger knew us in just the way tips of mountains know the disappearing moon. The kitchen window stays open to emphasis. I believe in ghosts. For the most part, the advantage of a new year fades as the sun erases the image of indoors from all the windows, leaving only the old worlds of transparency and printed pages in books left open upon disappearing night tables. The same anew, as every tippler knows who once has leaned against the sun. Time heals nothing until time is no more. I remember the two of us running late, me for the airport, you for the bus, after a high old time at Wesleyan. We made our connections, clumsily, but made them. Safe at home, we saw the Great Bear at our windows. I think that might be the stupidest thing that anyone ever said. Time heals all wounds. How are you feeling? You all healed now? Yeah, you feel fine, right? So I don't know. It just doesn't. I'm not convinced. I mean, I've been around 71 years, and I'm bleeding everywhere. I don't get it. It just makes no sense. How are we doing? You got two more poems in you, or? Okay. All right. Thank you. This one's called Hide and Seek. Now, you remember playing hide and seek when you were a kid and shouting, "Ollie, Ollie, oxen free," or something like that? Well, you might not know, but it's really all ye outs in free. That's what it really is. So it actually makes sense. It's not "Ollie, Ollie, oxen free." It's all ye outs. It's kind of nice, isn't it? It's a good immigration policy. All ye outs in free. You know, I heard a smart lady bishop say something about that. It didn't go over well. What you gonna do? Time heals all wounds. It's called Hide and Seek. Why remember? I answer with roses, those dark houses of radiant doorways. Home before dark was the first injunction of childhood, an answered prayer before anyone had prayed it, as one blood-red rose repeated itself over and over on the bedroom wallpaper. Believe the wallpaper, all ye outs in free. Memory is best alone, tilting a little nearer the light of one lamp. One hand finds another, the duplicate of itself, praying. For a moment, someone standing just outside the circle of lamplight, yourself, for instance, might see a blood-red rose cupped between two hands. Turn away. Other worlds and their love, radiant doorways, are jealous beyond words. Go straight home. After all these years, I still can hear my mother saying that really clear. Go straight home. It's good advice. And the savings are amazing. Okay, one more poem, which is not as merciful as it sounds because it's somewhat long, but I like it a lot, and I'm in charge. So I'm trying to think. No, there's nothing that you don't already know. Okay. As you can probably tell, one of my gripes with contemporaneity is progress isn't always a good idea. It doesn't always work out for a lot of people. It usually works out for a few people, and then a lot of people suffer. So some progress is good, but you got to look at it carefully. Don't just buy it because it says progress.
Like Doge?
Oh, you mean the people that used to run Venice? Yeah, they were. I loved the Doges of Venice. They're lovely red. Oh, no. I'm on Social Security. I can't say anything. Please, SFB. I need my Medicare. Do you know what these things cost? Anyway. Yeah. Yeah. But it's scary anymore. This is not the golden age I was promised. That's okay. Anyway, thank you so much for your patience and for coming and everything like that. And this is just the one last poem. It's called Thistle. Thistledown is clouds, says actual man. Come down to earth to cover the churches. Light is the color of walls between life and death. Brief shadows of eclipse race like foxy clouds, but the dead move slowly as windows and walls when light barely shows through. If an actual man is present, the color of blood appears, rust of the foxtail between cupboard and narthex. New York feels a tremor of barrage. If only a ghost or candle of ghost, all color backwards through a prism goes to anathema, Manhattan's actual glands and wounds below the wall. Either resurrection or the tall stain mistaken for a mountain actually begins with a human face, as a city begins on the lips of a dying man dreaming one last dream, and you and I will spend eternity there. Manhattan walls itself off. The continent abolishes its mountains. The Chrysler Building writes a novel about an immigrant writing a novel. I'd meant to love a woman with wires of hair, but I love you. Eternity has a taxi all to itself. Rain, rain, your hand touches my hair, and we must keep walking. We must remember to pray. God was a mountain once. Once the motive of memory, the accosted child, becomes real, it is free of memory. Becoming an actual man, he plays at cat's cradle of fantasticals. A faun, if you like, a perpetual curtain of hairs falling upon theatrical New York. He is the eclogue of us. Do the pronouns worry you? Do the taller buildings seem to menace little churches of cloud and eclipse in the alleyways? A prism of blood in your own heart sets you straight, and prayer comes easily then. You needn't remember your heart to beat it. I have eaten words for 60 years. No harm done. The crooked arm of the expressway bends up and away from the street life, the cloudy worship of numbers parallel to faith, victorious victimhood. So laments, or so begins the actual man's mock epic. Last not merely first, but one and only. It is too late to repair him. He might as well be a window fallen into a flood upstate. He might as well tell once again the story of his beloved murdered, thrown to the trains as he watched the waters rising, glass himself. Apocalypse is as you find it. North and south there is one last dream that will not be denied. I am pretty well convinced that suicide explains the whales and the metal railings at Battery Park. There is a consensus among drunkards that D.H. Lawrence's Birds, Beasts, and Flowers is a masterpiece, where God is also love, but without words. The Cathedral of Notre Dame burns as I write this. The fire is the color of blood, a foxtail withering architrave without a trace. Without words, it is easier to trace 1 million televised images back to their source, the actual man mocking the shattered glass of himself. Manhattan Island has only an ocean to offer and a drunkard's tremor. Was the original flower a white one covering the island from end to end, not owned and not therefore in need of colors? A white flower was the first window open to the world. Human eyes could recognize themselves in the cluster, seeing the harmless sun shaped into petals, sensing a fathering and a mothering in sunlight, gentled there to simple vision. Heaven is fine until the image of heaven catches fire inside a cloud and comes to earth. A welter of colors then, like animals in a panic, disturbs the sun out of its innocence, and the white flowers are blind then. With our own eyes, you and I have loved one another in a crowd of images. in a snare of garlands only now remembered as the lovely young people 50 years ago, when Manhattan felt like a real island and not like a madhouse grievance bulwarked against flowers and faith. Victimhood has robbed the sun of its innocence. Mockery, which is a kind of murder, has stolen into the language and fingers of the city, producing a stammer of obscenities and a tremor of burnt matches at our fingers' ends. I wish that all these words were raindrops. Out of the clouds, says actual man. A foxtail of rain covers the churches, and one by one the churches disappear. Ave Verum Corpus is all well and good for a gateway, but when the iron gates have rusted shut against the iron air, choirs gasp, words die in the throat, and the only sound is thorns underfoot, a rustle of bones shifting underground. Posterity is abandoned to imaginary animals. Race abdicates, gender abdicates. The color is disappearing from my hands, like a vixen through a snare of garlands. Thank you very much.
Donald, thank you so much. That was wonderful. Thanks to you all. Feel free to stick around, enjoy the good company, and have a lovely rest of your day. Goodbye, everybody.
Thanks.